All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Kevin Monroe, color analyst for ECU Home Games, former East Carolina DB, and I like to bring up former East Carolina baseball player as well, two-sport athlete here at ECU. Kevin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Clip. How about yourself?
Doing great, doing great. We'll get to it, but only one team in the NFC East won last week. We'll save that for the end. You know that's
It's
coming.
it's weird that you didn't have me on the show last week when you lost and we won. That's fine. It's fine.
That is a good point. There might be something to that. Kevin, let's talk about East Carolina 2-1 heading to Liberty. Man, up 16-0. The place is buzzing. Everybody's fired up. We're about to get to 3-0, and not so fast. Just nothing after that at all from an offensive standpoint. App State does enough to get the job done, but man, it almost felt like ECU beat ECU out there at times. How did you look at it from last week?
Yeah, there's no question. I think you want to get out to a good start on a team like App State because if they get on a lead against you and they start running that stretch zone run attack, it's hard to stop. And so you want to put them on the defensive, make them have to throw the ball, even though they have Joey Aguilar, who's a darn good quarterback. So you jump out to an early lead, and the offense was aggressive. That ball, down the seam for the touchdown to open up the scoring with just 3 plays into the game, 30 seconds into the game was just amazing. But I feel like we got away from that. And part of me thinks that with a 16-point lead, maybe the Pirates got a little bit too conservative. And with the issues that Jake Garcia has had with turnovers in the last, in the first couple of weeks, it made you wonder if maybe they pulled the reins on him a little bit and dialed it back so that he could have a clean game. And it just seemed like App State just started chasing us down. And then you add to that the woes in the secondary. I mean, that's probably the worst game in terms of pass defense that we've seen under Blake Harrell. They just could not figure out Aguilar or Robinson, the receiver. They completed passes at a high clip. They got all the third downs they needed to convert in the second half. And we just seem to be a little bit behind. And I wonder if maybe that was just playing too much man-to-man. It's one thing to have Savone playing man-to-man on his side, but IBM as well maybe was just to stretch our defense a little bit too thin. And guys were running uncovered a lot in that secondary, and that brings flashbacks to the pre-Blake Harrell days, and nobody wants to think about. So it was rough defensively. Offensively, got too conservative. Rajay still looked good, but maybe he didn't get the ball enough. So just so many things you can play Monday morning quarterback and look at didn't go right, but certainly a game they could have and should have won.
And Kevin, I know as a former corner, you're going to be critical or give praise to the defensive backs when you see it. But you give up 21 points in 2024, you got to win that game. You're going to win most of the game. So I go back to the offense. I want to get your take on Garcia. We say in the 2 wins, man, he's got to get better. He's got to play a clean game. Did up until the end, just a crucial interception there. But how do you think he played, and what do you think about him moving forward in this offense?
Well, we've never had an issue with his confidence, right? Like he'll throw the ball, in between a cracked window if you want him to, and that's just his approach. He's not afraid to cut it loose, and he was like that for the most part on Saturday. And he did play a clean game, until the very end. But it's just one of those throws that you just can't make. I mean, I think it's earlier in the series. It might even been first down.
It was after a big play to the 50, I believe, to the freshman, right? And then the very next
Yeah,
play, first down. Yeah.
yeah. So you didn't have to force it. You had the clock on your side. You had things, in the right direction. And then you make that throw. And I could see it from the booth. Obviously, I was like, no, don't make that throw. But, he just could not see that defensive back come underneath the corner route. And it was crucial. And that give credit to the DB who made the play because we had the same opportunity on our end. We didn't make the play. And that just makes all the difference in the world. So I would say that for all the people that were calling for Jake Garcia's head, he played a good enough game to keep his job, in my opinion. But that last throw was really crucial.
Kevin Monroe joining us. I will say these guys are resilient. Talking to Zakai Barker, who's played some really good football this year. Isaiah Brown Murray. Man, they are laser focused. They do not get down. They use it as motivation. They seem like they're ready to go right back to work, and that's a good thing, Kevin, because they're playing a team that's won 15 straight regular season games. So Liberty, the old cliche, winning's contagious, losing's contagious. I watched them week 2, Kevin. at New Mexico State. They're 22-point favorites. They're losing by double digits in the fourth quarter. And their quarterback's out there kind of like smiling, whatever, like, hey, it's not a big deal. And I was like, does this guy care about football or anything? But no, it won't that. It was he knew they were going to win, and they did. So he's got that confidence about him as their whole team does. And it's kind of dangerous playing a team like that.
Well, I watched the clip that you guys put on social media of the head coach talking about East Carolina, and he not only said we were the toughest opponent they were playing this season, he said, or so far this season rather, but he also said that we were the toughest opponent that's come into Lynchburg since he's been there. Yeah. And so that was high praise. I mean, obviously coaches love to blow smoke a little bit, but that was high praise, I thought, for the Pirates. And so they expect a good, tough game. I expect a good, tough game. And I think it will be a tough one because, go to a place where they're scoring 33 points a game, only giving up 19 points a game, solid quarterback, solid running game. It's going to be tough. And then they have, I think 7 sacks or something on defense and a couple of interceptions. So they get after it offensively and defensively. They have a ton of talent. They have a ton of money. And you have a ton of money, that means the NIL is getting paid everywhere. And so in this day and age, you have a lot of money. I don't care what university you're at, you're going to have good players. And it's a tough ball game for the Pirates, no doubt.
Very good point, Kevin. Blake Harrell's defense going to have to watch out for Salter in that offensive attack. But if you win all those games in a row, you got to be playing at least some decent defense. I think that gets overlooked for the Flames. And on that note, how do you kind of grade out John David Baker through 3 weeks? We've seen some highs, we've seen some lows, and they just have not put the ball in the end zone a lot against FBS opponents to this point. So how about JDB right now?
I like the explosiveness opportunities in the offense. I like the up-tempo-ness of the offense. Sometimes they get going a little bit too fast. You get to a 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, and you know that you're going to line up and run the ball. And I feel like everyone knows you're going to run the ball instead of taking your time and coming up with a more creative play that might, be a little bit misdirection and pick up the first down. I feel like we get going too fast and just do the obvious stuff. However, I do like the fact that you can hit a Winston right down the seam and he's wide open because you've got 5 wide receivers in that route and the DBs couldn't figure out who all to cover. I love that about it. So the fact that you have so many options from a quarterback standpoint, if you have Shane Carden, or somebody like that running this offense that took care of the football really well, then this, you probably have one of the top offenses in the country right now. But, Jake, even though he has the arm strength and the arm ability, he will force passes, and that's gotten him in trouble. So the offense itself, if JDB had all the weapons that he could just pick and choose, I think would be incredible. But we're working with what we're working with. We've had some drops from the receiver position. We've had some fumbles. We've had some interceptions. So things have not gone to plan thus far, but we are miles ahead of where we were a year ago.
Kevin Monroe joining us. Kevin, while I got you here, NC State has kind of piddled around against lesser opponents, and then we saw them get blown out against Tennessee. They're pretty big underdogs at Clemson this week. But what's the buzz in the triangle there, Kevin, about going to the freshman quarterback? He provided a bit of a spark last week when he came in when Grayson McCall went down. So what are the folks in Raleigh talking about heading to Clemson this week?
It's kind of funny. Obviously, I live and work in Raleigh area, and State fans are notorious Eeyores. Like they are with me immediately once the season starts. And they in the past they've always had very, very weak non-conference schedules, and they go 3-0 or 4-0 or 2-1, 3-1, and then they get in the conference and they lay an egg, and the State fans are like, here we go again. At least this year they ramped it up with Tennessee, and they had some stiffer opponents. But that's just how they are. And so I haven't heard a peep out of is what I'm saying, because they fear the worst. And they were hoping for a good season, but it looks like things aren't great. It started off with a not good showing against Western Carolina, and things just haven't really gotten better since then. There's no buzz in the Raleigh area about the Wolfpack right now.
You're exactly right, Kevin. The worst thing for State fans was seeing that number beside their name preseason. They're like, "Oh no, we're ranked. We're definitely going to suck this year." So that's all my State buddies anyway. Kevin, before we let you go, and don't get me wrong, I love talking junk to Bailey and you and everybody when the Cowboys lose, but this is more confusion. What in the world was that on Sunday, man?
Great point. And what I said to all of my friends and family and fellow Cowboy fans is it was strange because I think New Orleans is actually as good offensively as they looked against the Panthers because it wasn't like and I watch with a a color analyst eye when I'm watching games. That offensive line wasn't blowing the Cowboys off the line of scrimmage. Cowboys were getting in the backfield, but they would wall it off or do a counter or hold or twist. They would just do something to get around those guys and get yards. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. And then they'd run crossing routes all the way across the field and confuse the DB. So I will say this: I said the Cowboys got out schemed, and then they got out just beat up. And so I don't think that it's like, oh, the defense is not as good as they thought. I think Zimmer ran up against the offensive coordinator that he wasn't ready for, and he couldn't put up a defense that led to them playing well. So I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know what happened, but I don't expect the remainder of the season for teams to do that to Cowboy defense. I just think that the New Orleans Saints are a lot better than people gave them credit for.
And then if you go to bed early Monday night and wake up, you say, how in the world did Kirk Cousins and the Falcons come back and beat Philly? It was the NFL is always strange, though. That's why we love it, right? We never know what's going to happen, and it's crazy week in, week out. Kevin, you'll be on the call next week, East Carolina UTSA, and that's a big one. They'll be honoring you and the 1999 team, so not only will you have a game to call, probably be a family reunion style feeling out there, right?
It's going to be cool. Andrew Bays has done a great job of reaching out to all the 99 team and getting us on a group me and rallying the troops to get everybody to come back. So a ton of people are coming back. A ton of coaches are coming back. It's just going to be really, really fun. I'm excited to see everybody. Some folks I saw last week. Some folks I haven't seen since '99. So It's going to be really cool to see some of those guys. And so they're planning some things on Friday, tailgate on Saturday, and then I guess we'll get honored either during the game or at halftime or something. They haven't really explained when that will be, but yeah, I'll come out of the booth and go down to the field, and I'm excited about it. It was a great season, and in my opinion, one of the top 3 or 4 seasons in Empire history. Obviously, it ended with the loss in the bowl game, but 9-win season doesn't happen very often, especially with only 11 games in the regular season.
Yeah, and no, I guess conference championship mixed in there too, right? So, yeah.
Not that we would have won it because we lost to Southern Miss and UAB that year, but still. Yeah. Just a great non-conference run going 4-0 against those big teams, and it had the city on fire, especially after the flood.
No doubt, Kevin. Always enjoy it, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll track you down again next week. Talk more football with you. Have a good weekend, and talk to you again soon, man.
Appreciate it, Clip.